From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun. Tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari challenges African leaders to work assiduously to rid the continent of corruption. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project SERAP sues President Muhammadu Buhari over the failure to publish copy of agreement with the US over the repatriated Abacha loot. Inspector General of Police Usman Al-Khalibaba assures Nigerians of the police resolve to sustain fight against oil theft and other acts of economic sabotage. And thousands of people are evacuated in the Philippines and government offices closed as Super Typhoon Noru bashes the eastern islands. President Muhammadu Buhari is on his way back from the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. But before he left New York, the president challenged his African counterparts to work assiduously to rid the continent of corruption. President Buhari was speaking in his capacity as the African Union champion on efforts to eliminate corruption on the continent at a high-level side event on food security response. Our State House correspondent, Gloria Umezoke, reports.
In what would be his last participation as Nigeria's president at the 77th United Nations General Assembly, President Muhammadu Buhari attends a high-level event on corruption and food security response. Asserting his position as the African Union champion on elimination of corruption, President Buhari states that the drive to eliminate corruption must be reinforced by African leaders for a financially developed Africa.
Common African Position on Asset Recovery 2020 was recognized as taking a broader approach to include resources lost through any and all types of illicit financial flows. It is therefore our hope that the Common African Position on Asset Recovery can be a model for designing a global framework to address illicit financial flows, and I use this opportunity to call on the African Union to ensure effective implementation of the Common African Position on Asset Recovery in line with the vision encapsulated in the Agenda 2063.
The president expressed regrets that millions of people suffered in hunger in the last 1 year while illicit financial flows thrived.
1 billion people went hungry in 2021. This is a collective shame on the world's conscience. Such developments have been made worse by increased illicit financial flows arising from a combination of factors, including organized violence and conflict risks, economic downturn, natural hazards, and climatic risks, as well as worsening access to humanitarian assistance.
The organizers, as well as other participants, equally identified the issues and proffered solutions.
Tackling illicit financial flows in terms of blocking the leakages and recovery of looted assets will open the door to releasing the much-needed investments in productive sectors, inclusive of food security.
In my view, if Africa's population and land space are credibly and productively harnessed, will not only address these challenges, but will be a turnaround for world economic boost, and sustainable development.
Elsewhere, the president also met with a group of Nigerians living in the United States, commending them for upholding exemplary characters while reiterating his administration's commitment to a free and credible election in 2023. The president is confident that the chairman of Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa, who led the 15 representatives of Nigerians living in the U.S., will continue to implement existing initiatives aimed at forging a closer relationship with the ambassadors. From New York, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Well, back home, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has filed a lawsuit against President Muhammadu Buhari over the failure to publish the details of the agreement the federal government recently signed with the United States for the repatriation of $23 million stolen by the late head of state General Sani Abacha. Joined in the suit as respondent is the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami. The United States government had in August signed an agreement with the federal government to repatriate the $23 million Abacha loot to Nigeria. In the suit at the Federal High Court, Abuja, SERAP is asking the court to direct and compel President Buhari and Mr. Malami to release and widely publish copies of the agreement with the U.S. SERAP is asking the court to direct and compel President Buhari and Mr. Malami to publish details of the transparency and accountability mechanisms that have been put in place to ensure that the repatriated funds are not mismanaged, diverted, or restolen. A no date has been fixed for the hearing. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, says the police will sustain the fight against oil theft and other crimes capable of sabotaging the country's economy through practical training and acquiring investigative and operational assets. Well, the IGP gave this assurance while briefing the Senate Ad Hoc Committee investigating oil lifting, theft, and the impact on petroleum production and oil revenues, as well as illegal bunkering. According to the IGP, more than 1.3 million litres of automotive gas oil, 135,000 litres of crude oil, 4,900 litres of premium motor spirit, 45,000 litres of engine oil, and 123 vessels comprising tankers, lorries, barges, buses, and other vehicles have been seized by the IGP Special Task Force on Petroleum and Illegal Bunkering. And still on crime, the Ogun State Police Command says it has arrested a member of a kidnapped gang believed to be terrorizing the Kara Bridge end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway after raiding the criminals' hideout in Wawa community of Bafemewode local government area of the state. Well, a statement by the command's public relations officer, Abimbola Oyemi, says the kidnapped suspect confessed to being a member of a 7-man gang terrorizing the area. According to him, men of the command took the battle to the doorstep of the hoodlums following a report lodged at Wawa Divisional Headquarters by a commercial driver whose vehicle was attacked by gunmen while traveling on the untarred access road beside the bridge. Mr. Oyemi reveals that one of the passengers of the commercial vehicle, Sheo Anafi, who was kidnapped during the attack, has since been rescued unhurt. Well, it's different strokes, if you like, as the Kogi State Governor, Yahaya Bello, says, contrary to the viewpoint expressed by critics, the All Progressives Congress APC-led federal government has done well in tackling the nation's security challenges. Governor Bello says the government has achieved this by improving the equipment status of security agencies as well as the welfare of personnel. He told Channels Television's Ladi Akeredolole on our current affairs program Newsnight that there has been a significant improvement on the circumstances that existed when the government came to power in 2015.
APC did not fail in all of our promises to Nigerians. On security, like I said, the bombs that used to detonate in the northeast and all what have you, the challenges of them have largely been solved. We are facing emerging challenges as we speak, and not only in Nigeria, but across the world. And like I said, this is the first time as a president, we have a president that could buy hardware that were never in existence, somewhere obsolete, and somewhere just not in existence before today. And it is only now that you could see that, Mr. President, we have a president that improved on the welfare of the security agencies. Yes, there are a lot more that needs to be done. The emerging challenges today needs to be tackled. You see, and most times we don't just appreciate what the leaders have done or what president or governors have done. If you compare it with the situation before 2015 general election, the difference is very clear. But today, you know, one little thing will happen here and there, and then it will be reported. And like I said, there are several other things that have been done to checkmate and to curtail and prevent a lot of, you know, some of these insecurities that can never be brought to the media, you know, to discuss. Then you talk of issue of economy. Yes, there are hardships, there are inflation, and what have you. But the question is, which country of this world is having it rosy today? There are still a lot more that needs to be done. I know very well. First, it is said that it is those that are caught that are referred to as thieves. It is this administration that will rather expose the few corrupt elements in her midst. In the past, you dare not even talk about it.
For the full interview with Governor Yahaya Bello, do watch Newsnight tomorrow, Monday, September 26th at 9 p.m. right here on Channels Television. Still on insecurity, the Nigerian military claims that the second and third quarters of this year has witnessed significant gains made by several operations of the military across the country. Our next report looks at some of the security challenges and the gains made by the military between April and September this year, as well as plans to ensure that the country remains safe.
The Abuja train attacks of the 28th of March, the Kuje prison invasion of July the 5th, the July 28th attack on troops of the 7th Guards Brigade in Buhari, the July 28th attack on a military checkpoint in Madala Zuba, the attack by gunmen on a serving lawmaker, Ifeanyi Oba, on September the 12th. In mid-July, 13 officers of the mobile police units of the Nigerian police force were killed during an attack by gunmen in Kuramota village of Bungudu local government area of Zamfara state. In late May, bandits attacked a Nigeria Customs Service checkpoint in Miltakwas community, a few kilometers from Katsina town. These are just a few of the attacks Nigerians have faced in recent times, worsening an already existing humanitarian crisis and spreading fear among Nigerians. At the opening of the third quarter Chief of Army Staff Conference this year held in Abuja, the military chief highlights the successes made by several military operations across the country.
The recent successful hosting of Nigerian Army Day celebration in the southeast, in Owerri precisely, has impacted positively on the security situation in the region, even as the troops continue to take decisive actions against the secessionists. Our connected actions in the Northeast Theater operation have continued to dismantle the cohesion of the insurgents, resulting in massive surrenders of the terrorists. The troops deployed in the South-South region under Operation Delta Safe have continued to perform creditably with the regimented joint operations, leading to the arrests of several suspects and their sponsors. Our offensive operations in the Northwest and North Central regions have also been intensified under the recently launched onslaught called Operation Desert Sanity.
With the 2022 military budget of 1.1 trillion naira of Nigeria's 17.126 trillion naira budget, the military claims that using kinetic and non-kinetic measures, 3,858 Boko Haram terrorists and their families surrendered between the 1st and 14th of July 2022. This is in addition to the 4,770 terrorists who surrendered in June of 2022. 42 terrorists were neutralized in July this year, while several kidnapped victims from across the country have been released. These successes have not translated to a feeling of safety among Nigerians, and the reasons are simple. Out-of-school children in Nigeria is the highest in the world at 18.5 million children. 3.2 million Nigerians are displaced. At least 3,420 people were abducted across Nigeria between July 2021 and June of 2022, with 6.5 billion naira demanded as ransom. To proffer solutions to this feeling of unrest, we meet up with Brigadier General Sani Usman, a security analyst and former director of Army Public Relations.
Anytime there is any security challenge, there could have been 1,000 others that were able to be nipped in the box, in the bud. So Nigerians should understand that fact, that we should understand and appreciate the fact that these people are doing certain things on our behalf. We need to support them, we need to encourage them in any way we can. But on the part of the security agencies, they should be conscious of the responsibilities on their shoulders. Nigerians look up to them. They have been doing so well so far. So they should continue. In fact, they should up their games in terms of cooperation, in terms of synergy of effort, in terms of coordination, in terms of expanding their civil-military relations, so that average Nigerians will have a greater sense of belonging that they are doing that on his or on her behalf.
Nigeria has reached the end of the third quarter of 2022 with mixed reviews on the performance of the military in the war against insurgency and insecurity in general. There's still a lot of unease in the land. Places like the northwest, the northeast and the southeastern parts of Nigeria are still cause for concern, especially looking at the fact that the general elections are just 2 quarters away. Will elections be able to hold in these areas? The military says they can, stating that the gains being achieved, at least in the end of the third quarter of 2022, will build a momentum that will meet President Buhari's December directive, just in time for the elections. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, as 2023 election draws near, former President Dr. Goodluck Jonathan urges Nigerians not to vote those he described as killers into office next year. To join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. President Muhammadu Buhari departs New York after attending the United Nations General Assembly. Before leaving, the president had challenged African leaders to work assiduously to rid the continent of corruption. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project SERAP sues President Muhammadu Buhari over the failure to publish copies of agreements with the U.S. over the repatriated Abacha loot. Inspector General of Police Usman Alkali Baba assures Nigerians of the police resolve to sustain fight against oil theft and other acts of economic sabotage. And thousands of people are evacuated in the Philippines and government offices closed as Super Typhoon Noru bashes the eastern islands. Nigeria is standing at the precipice of a new nation, and its citizens must continue to believe that God will fulfill his promise to the country. These are the words of the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, at the Interdenominational Service in Abuja, marking the beginning of events celebrating Nigeria's 62nd independence anniversary. The service, which held at the National Christian Center, had in attendance members of the diplomatic corps, government officials and armed forces in an atmosphere of praise and prayer. Our State House correspondent Kayla Megwa was there and filed in this report.
An interdenominational church service at the National Christian Center, Abuja, officially kicks off activities marking Nigeria's 62nd Independence Day celebrations, with the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, as guest of honor. Several choir ministrations and praise sessions were hallmarks of the service, as prayers were offered in intercession for good governance, wisdom among the three arms of government, and peaceful coexistence among Nigerians. The new president of the Christian Association of Nigeria underscores the need for Nigerians to remain fervent in the face of the many issues bedeviling Nigeria and see 2023 as a litmus test for the nation.
Brethren, the year 2023 is the year of our test as a nation. Rather than take up arms to kill each other and terrify innocent and ordinary Nigerians, adults in this nation should take up our vote and go to the polls.
The Vice President urges Christian faithful to be mindful of the promises God has made to Nigeria as he makes a fervent prayer for the nation.
God added in that promise that in Abraham all the nations of the earth will be blessed. So you will be a great nation, and God will bless you. And anyone who blesses you will be blessed, and those who curse you will be cursed. And through you, this nation and the world will be blessed. In the mighty name of Jesus.
Please, Your Excellencies. Your Excellencies.
This particular interdenominational service marks the beginning of activities to mark Nigeria's 62nd independence anniversary. And the messages today are that of hope and a call to action. Nigerians are being asked to ensure that they vote in the 2023 general elections. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, re-echoes this, stating that the nation is at the cusp of a new era. And as he celebrates his final pre-independence service as Vice President, he's calling on all Nigerians to stand on the hope and the promise of what God has said he would do for Nigeria. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
As the 2023 general elections draw near, Nigeria's former president, Goodluck Jonathan, has advised Nigerians to avoid politicians who encourage electoral violence. The former president was speaking in Uyo at an interdenominational Thanksgiving service to mark the 35th anniversary of Akwa Ibom State. State Governor Udom Emmanuel expressed gratitude to God and the people of the state for their support over the years.
The Ibom Hall grounds in Uyo plays host to friends and indigents of Akwa Ibom for the interdenominational Thanksgiving service to mark the 35th anniversary of the state.
We must praise him in the African way.
Joined in the celebration are prominent personalities, including former President Goodluck Jonathan, his wife, Dame Patience, governors, former governors, and the political class, among others.
You are worthy, oh Jehovah. You are worthy, oh El Shaddai.
Intercessory prayers are offered for continued peace in the state and a peaceful transition in 2023 in the country.
One more time, say, Lord Jesus, today, at this 35th anniversary, I believe that you died for me.
Former President Goodluck Jonathan is full of commendation for Governor Udom Emmanuel and advises Nigerians to vote for leaders with peaceful disposition in the 2023 elections.
What you must carry on is that 2023, you must not make mistake to vote killers. Those who will carry knives, guns, and all kinds of gadgets to go and kill people because of politics. They are the enemies of society. You must continue in this spirit and make sure that from House of Assembly to House of Representatives to Senate to Governor, you vote the right people in Akwa Ibom State.
Bayelsa State Governor Doye Diri speaks on their commitment to the unity and prosperity in the country.
Together we shall salvage Nigeria. Together our states will grow from strength to strength. South-South governors are united, and in unison we will continue to deliver the good things of government and development in our respective states.
The host governor, Udom Emmanuel, thanks God for his grace, past leaders, and the masses for their support over the years.
The theme of our celebration is moving forward. I want to also appreciate
those who have actually gotten the vision that in moving forward, we need to also look back. The Akwa Ibom story has become a national story. The story of a leadership that, while attending to the needs of today, in equally looking beyond the immediate to focus on what is lasting and sustainable.
The event is one in the series of activities of thanksgiving to God organized by the state government as it celebrates 35 years of the creation of Akwa Ibom State and sustenance since its inception.
With just a few days to the kickoff of electioneering campaigns, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and his running mate, Yusuf Baba Ahmed, have visited former head of state, Ibrahim Babangida, in Mina, Niger State, in continuation of their consultations. The candidates also met with former head of state, Abdul Salami Abubakar, who is also a resident in Niger State. In a post on his Twitter handle, the Labour Party flag bearer says the team had insightful conversations on the state of affairs of the country with both former leaders. We're still talking politics. The Tinubu-Shettima presidential ticket under the auspices of the ruling All Progressives Congress, the APC, is attracting more support as members of the party under the aegis of the Tinubu-Shettima for good governance are calling on their members to ensure maximum collection of permanent voter cards ahead of the elections. Now, speaking in Abuja at the inauguration of the group, the national coordinator, Mrs. Agnes Ame, believes the Tinubu-Shettima ticket is the panacea for a better Nigeria, as exemplified by the performance of Senator Tinubu as a former governor of Lagos State. Well, the federal government has given approval for the dredging of the Oguta Lake and Orashi River following a proposal by the Imo State government. Governor Hope Uzodinma disclosed this while addressing newsmen after a meeting with the leadership of the Nigerian Navy at the Government House in Owerri. He says the partnership with the federal government through the Nigerian Navy will not only enable bigger vessels come into Imo State, but also open up economic activities in the state and, by extension, the southeast region.
Orashi River is a river of the lower Niger River Basin and a tributary of the Oguta Lake in Oguta local government area, Imo State, southeast Nigeria. It takes off 183 meters above sea level from the rocks in Ezama community. Described as a lifeline in Ideato South communities, Orashi serves as an all-purpose river to the area and many other communities. The Imo State government believes the potentials of both bodies of water are far greater, which is why they are part of the state government's gas policy that will see the dredging of the river to the sea to enhance economic activities, a policy that already has the federal government's approval.
Oguta Lake, Orashi River, up to the sea in River State to enable bigger vessels coming to Imo State, and that will help manage the security situation in the area, eliminate cases of crude oil stealing, pipeline vandalization, enhance security, stimulate economic activities, create more jobs for our people, and then boost the economy of the state.
This proposal was also shared with a team from the Nigerian Navy Holding Limited, led by the Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Rear Admiral Siluranda Lassa.
Only recently we established the Navy base at Oguta, which has helped in no small measure to address certain aspects of insecurity in the area. But beyond that, for socio-economic activities to thrive, especially with the giant strides that have been made by the state.
Governor Uzodinma takes the Navy team on a tour of the naval base and boathouse in Oguta, beside the Orashi River. He is excited that the presence of the Navy will enhance security of the waterways and check oil pipeline vandalism.
What we are trying to do is to create access
access that will make the security agencies patrol the channel up to the sea, and access that will also help stimulate and boost commerce and trade around here, and also allow human beings harness the bounties of nature endowed here by God.
No timeline has been given for the completion of the project, which is still in its conceptualization stage. But when it finally comes to fruition, the government is positive that it will greatly transform the fortunes of Imo State and the southeast region.
You cannot sustain running generator because of this one.
Let's return to politics in the APC, where the spokesperson of the All Progressives Congress Presidential Campaign Council, Festus Keyamo, has been reacting to the controversies on the recently released list of members of the party's campaign council. The APC presidential campaign spokesperson explains that the issues raised about the campaign list is purely a matter of choice and not a legal issue. Mr. Keyamo argued further that there is no provision in the Constitution that stipulates that one must campaign for a member of his party. Mr. Keyamo was our guest earlier on our program Sunday Politics.
Provision in the electoral to the Constitution that says that, you have to campaign for a presidential candidate of your party at all costs. You are in Nigeria. Don't forget that there's a fundamental right in our Constitution, to freely, associate with whoever you want to associate with. So if you associate with the party, you don't believe in any of his candidates, and you want to campaign for the candidate of another party in respect of a particular office, I think that is an issue that that other party should deal with. We will not deal with that, but like I tell you, his name appeared on our list. Up till now, there is no refutal on the other side. The refutal should come from the other side. All members of a political party must not be members of the campaign council. It's just a fact. It's just that by tradition, you try to include every body who has been anything in the party. So it's just a fact that not all members of a political party may like to be part of the campaign council. They may want to play some other roles. The party has not done away with anybody. The party has respected the right of everybody within the party to express his or her views. We don't, deprive people in our party from expressing their views. So these individuals, as I speak with you, they don't represent, as it is today, a particular structure of the party. When you are talking about such things as campaign council, you talk about the structures of the party, whether all the structures of the party are adequately represented or consulted in constituting the council. The fact that you were past this or past that, of course, shows that you are well respected at one point or the other. You represented the party, you are the government at some level. But as it is today, parties deal with structures. People who are in positions that represent certain structures of the party.
The Northeast Development Commission, the NEDC, says until the challenge of climate change is tackled in the northeast region of the country, issues of crisis due to diminishing availability of forests, grazing land and flooding will remain a recurring decimal. The managing director of the commission, Mr. Mohammed Al-Kali, stated this during the training of 300 women from Taraba, Adamawa, Yobe, Bauchi, Gombe and Borno states on the effect of climate change and the use of energy-efficient stoves.
The conflicts between farmers and herders, necessitated by the diminishing availability of forests and grazing lands, communal clashes, as well as insurgency, are the major threats to economic and agricultural activities in the northeast region of Nigeria. The multifaceted climate change and its palpable effects, ranging from desertification, drought, flooding, pollution, and the near disappearance of the Lake Chad Basin, necessitated this training of 300 women holding simultaneously in the 6 northeastern states. It is organized by the Northeast Development Commission, and the focus is on the use of energy-efficient stoves to address the devastating consequences of climate change. The aim is to discourage the use of firewood to combat climate change.
If you look at this year's rain, it has done so much damage to the environment. The reason is that we have cut almost the major forest around the state. So this workshop is hoped to reach out to the ruralites to inform them that what they are doing is not in any way helpful to the state.
We are not forcing them to stop what they are doing initially, but we will enlighten them to know the benefit of using this charcoal. Is better and safer way for them to live more healthier and in fact to live longer.
Beyond this training, the Taraba state government is willing to collaborate with the commission to birth with a new initiative.
This workshop is coming because of the cutting down of trees, how we can reduce, minimize to the barest minimum the cutting down of trees, especially for firewood. So if they are going to be taught on briquetting, then there are other raw materials they are going to use to produce this charcoal. It's an improved way.
For me, I would tell my people in the local government to stop using firewood because firewood is very harmful. And if they come across of this solar panel, I think is the best thing that is going to help us, and it will prevent us from having all those sicknesses and the rest of the things.
Relevant authorities are expected to ensure that the gains of this training is not lost, as the women are expected to champion the campaign to protect the environment.
The governor of Adamawa State, Omar Fintiri, is asking the Chemical Society of Nigeria to conduct a comprehensive research that will help in countering the terrorists in the production of improvised explosive devices used against innocent Nigerians. The governor made this call while declaring open the 2022 Annual International Conference of the Society in Yola, the Adamawa State capital.
The sale of fertilizers such as urea and NPK were banned from the northeast region of the country by the federal government because of its use as a major component in the production of improvised explosive devices by terrorists, bandits, and other non-state actors. It is for this reason that the 45th Annual International Conference of the Chemical Society of Nigeria are focusing on issues of sustainable development, application of chemistry, and insecurity. The president of the society kickstarts the event.
Chemical principles can also be deployed in the invention and production of strong, lightweight, and multi-purpose materials for military use in vehicles, armaments, and protective clothing, detection of mines both on land and the sea, development of robust and reliable sensors for detection of chemical agents, biological agents, radioactive materials, and explosives.
The Senior Special Assistant to the National Security Advisor notes that in seeking solutions to security and economic challenges through the use of chemistry, it is imperative to appraise the extent to which the use of chemicals has aggravated the security situation in the country, while the Chief of Staff to Governor Fintiri describes the theme of the conference as timely, considering the security challenges bedeviling the country.
A major component of IEDs includes chemicals such as trinitrotoluene, TNT, pentaerythritol, tetranitrate, PETN, Semtex, and smokeless powder. This is in addition to ammonium nitrate from fertilizers. And that's why the National Security Advisor's Office came with a policy. We stopped the sale of fertilizer, especially urea and NPK.
I wish on behalf of His Excellency to commend you while charging you to continue to do this work or this research in trying to find solutions that will assist Nigeria in going forward.
The high point of the event is the presentation of awards to the First Lady, Aisha Buhari, who was represented by the wife of former Governor of Adamawa State, Bala Ngilari, as well as Governor Umaru Fintiri, among other recipients. This conference is expected to provide suggestions on policies aimed at preventing the acquisition of toxic chemicals and chemical weapons and the misapplication of chemicals by terrorists and bandits.
A renewed efforts to end the use of illicit drugs is yielding results as operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the NDLEA, have arrested a 75-year-old man who is a grandfather in Adamawa State in his cannabis plantation with 49 kilograms of the illicit substance. In Kwara State, at least 19,878 bottles of a banned psychoactive substance have been intercepted by officials of the NDLEA along the Ilorin-Jebba Highway. According to operatives of the NDLEA, officials had arrested 2 suspects with 2,290 capsules of tramadol and 100 bottles of codeine-based syrup at Mararaba Park, Ilorin, the Kwara State capital. Operatives of the NDLEA in Lagos have also recorded another arrest after credible intelligence led to the interception of a vehicle loaded with 2,146 kilograms of cannabis at the Sangotedo area of Ajah. Meanwhile, anti-narcotic officers at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos have arrested 2 freight agents over attempts to smuggle 26.20 kilograms of cannabis concealed in cereal packs through the Sako shed for export to Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. The Federation of International Lawyers, FIDA, has applauded the River State government for the newly signed law on prohibition of the curtailment of women's rights to share in family property. This is one of the issues that came up for discussion as the group marked its 35th anniversary in Port Harcourt, the River State capital.
National Federation of Women Lawyers hold their 35th anniversary in Port Harcourt, River State capital. In attendance are female lawyers practicing in the state, judges, law students, and other supporters of FIDA. During his welcome address, the Chief Judge of the state, Simeon Chibuzo Amadi, who was represented by former National President of FIDA, Justice Elsie Thompson, commends FIDA on their 35th anniversary, even as she charges them to continue to engage in post-legislative advocacy.
FIDA is 35, shows that you have really matured. It's my hope that you will walk the talk. It is not only making women and children become aware of the laws relevant to them, but you will ensure that there is post-legislative advocacy.
The River State FIDA chairperson, Adata Bello Briggs, remarks that in terms of women-friendly legislation, especially that which deals with women inheritance, the state was way more advanced than others in the country.
For us in River State right now, I think we have moved beyond the average. We have been taking a step higher than the average with this law on inheritance. It used to be a very big problem in River State. In some parts of River State, you don't inherit as a woman. You can't inherit. Even as a widow, you face that. They'll tell you, because you don't have a child, you cannot inherit. But right now, yes, we have the Constitution and we have other laws, the case laws that have said so. Now it has been documented. Since these sections are not in conflict with the Constitution, they will stand. And concerning other states or other parts of Nigeria, some states are doing well, some states are still far behind, but we in River State, we have gone a step higher.
Speaking on the newly published book, she said it will be a game changer for women, as it contains all the relevant legislation necessary to protect the rights of women in the state.
It's a book that contains everything. Every right a woman needs in the state is contained in that law. Up to the last bill that was passed, the law that was passed last week, we have it in that law. So it's a compilation that will aid our work, and anybody that needs that work, anybody that feels that their right has been agreed and they're looking forward to, because it's usually very difficult to access these laws. But now we have made it so easy. All laws in one book.
Highlights of the occasion include presentation of awards, cutting of the FIDA 35th anniversary cake, and the unveiling of the book. The International Federation of Women Lawyers is saddled with the responsibility of providing pro bono legal services to women and children in the country.
And now to the arts. Generations 5, the Future Master Series, is a group exhibition at My Dream Gallery in Lagos. The exhibition seeks to showcase the young people that makes remarkable strides in the visual art scene. We see their works on Art Review tonight.
The My Dream Gallery in Lagos is buzzing with a new kind of excitement, all thanks to the young blood bringing some novel energy to the exhibition space through their diverse techniques in Generations 5, the Future Masters.
This backstrokes is done with mosaic tiles and acrylic glass played together to create or to pass a message documenting the present day ladies. Initially, we observe we have this way of identifying getting our identity notified by your tribal marks or by other means of the identification. But presently, we now have a different form of getting your own identity, which does not conform with your tradition.
8 artists show sculptural pieces as well as paintings that have caught the eyes of the audience attending this show. The ingenuity is outstanding as these young hands pay attention to detail while capturing issues dear to their hearts.
My works are mainly in coin, Nigerian coin. I tend to recreate the value for our coin since it's no longer in circulation. So I use my coin to create beautiful pieces. This is sound of peace, because at the end of the tunnel, there's always a turning point where you get to have time to think about, reflect about what you've gone through, and then sometimes we just need cool music to just calm our nerves, give us time to think and function once again.
In the 48 works of art being showcased, the sculptural pieces appear to have stolen the show in this 5th edition of Generations, the Future Masters, organized by My Dream Gallery, a pointer for the art community to anticipate more from these young ones.
And outside our shores, Italians have expressed deep concern about the future of their country today, September 25th, as they went to vote in an election that is forecast to return the country's most right-wing government since World War II. A right-wing alliance led by nationalist Giorgia Meloni's Brothers of Italy party appeared set for a clear victory when the last opinion polls were published 2 weeks ago. The polls opened at 7 a.m. and voting will continue until 11 p.m. when exit polls will be published. Italy's first autumn national election in over a century was triggered by party infighting that brought down Prime Minister Mario Draghi's broad national unity government in the month of July. Thousands of people have been evacuated and government offices have been closed as a super typhoon bashes the Philippines' eastern islands. A typhoon Noru has caused gusts of up to 240 kilometers per hour on the main island Luzon, where more than half of the country's 110 million population live. The forecasters say the storm experienced an explosive intensification as it made landfall west of Luzon. The super typhoon Noru appears to be intensifying after a period of explosive intensification, with sustained winds increasing to 185 kilometers per hour from 120 kilometers per hour on Saturday evening, September 24th, and that's according to the Philippines Disaster Agency. It says the super typhoon may make landfall on Sunday afternoon or evening with 185 to 205 kilometers per hour of sustained winds. Noru, the 11th tropical cyclone to hit the Philippines this year, was moving westward and likely to emerge over the South China Sea by late Sunday or early Monday, September 26th. A typhoon gained strength as it approached the Philippines on Sunday, September 25th, forcing thousands of people from their homes in coastal communities on the main island of Luzon and the cancellation of dozens of flights. The State Weather Bureau explains that Typhoon Noru strengthened with maximum sustained winds of 195 kilometers per hour and gusts of up to 240 kilometers per hour in an advisory hours before the storm was expected to make landfall. Authorities also said numerous ferry services were suspended and airlines cancelled 30 domestic and international flights to and from Manila, the capital city of Philippines. Super Typhoon Noru will surely bring heavy to torrential rains over the capital region and nearby provinces as it moves westward over rice-producing provinces. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russian soldiers who surrendered to Ukraine will be treated in a civilized manner. He also appeals to Russians to run away or surrender once at the front rather than risk being tried as war criminals even after the conflict. It comes after Vladimir Putin signed a law doubling the punishment for Russian soldiers who desert or disobey orders, a situation that has already led to protests in Russia with several agitators arrested and detained. Speaking in Russian, Mr. Zelensky promised that Ukraine will treat deserters in line with international conventions and not return anyone to Russia if they are afraid of repercussions. At least 11 people have been killed by cattle rustlers during an ambush in northern Kenya, and that's according to police authorities. 8 officers, 2 civilians and a local chief are said to be among the victims of the violence in Turkana County on Saturday. Well, members of the National Police Service were pursuing bandits who had earlier raided a village and stolen livestock. Kenya's police called the attack a criminal and cowardly ambush on innocent members of the public and police. Additional officers have already been dispatched to the village in Turkana East to bolster security and continue the pursuit of those responsible, who they said are members of the Pokot ethnic group. The clashes over livestock and water are common in the area, which is also facing a worsening climate. Time now for the sports news. The national women under-17 team, the Flamingos, will leave tomorrow to begin a 10-day training camp ahead of the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup finals. Head coach Bankole Oluwakere has already invited 21 players for the tournament that will kick off on October the 6th. Nigeria's first match of the campaign is against Germany in Goa on October the 11th. The Flamingos will then face New Zealand on October the 14th, also in Goa, before flying to Bhubaneswar to take on Chile on October the 17th. Since the competition was launched in New Zealand 14 years ago, Nigeria has only once been absent at the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. That's the 2018 finals staged in Uruguay. England manager Gareth Southgate says he is the right person to lead his country, the Three Lions, to the FIFA World Cup, despite a 5-game winless run that saw the team relegated from the top tier of the UEFA Nations League. England have already failed to even score a single goal from open play in 5 Nations League games against Hungary, Italy and Germany. But Southgate has defended his side as they experience a World Cup preparation unlike any other.
I understand the reaction at the end because that's the results we've had in this competition, and yeah, it's an understandable emotional reaction. So we are in a run of bad results, but it's for us to put that right, and the only way to do that is to stick with what we believe, stick with what's got us success in the previous tournaments, and in the end the players have got to stay really tight, because there's going to be a lot of noise, but a lot of that will be around me, and that's absolutely fine. It's my job to take that pressure for them.
Francis Tiafoe has led Team World to their first Laver Cup title as the Americans saved 4 match points in a dramatic victory over Stefanos Tsitsipas that denied Roger Federer a farewell trophy earlier today. Tiafoe staged a superb fight back to win 1-6, 7-6, 10-8 in the penultimate match of the tournament at London's O2 Arena. That was enough to give John McEnroe's Team World a 13-8 overall margin of victory with a match to spare, sealing their maiden triumph in the competition after Team Europe won the first 4 editions. While Federer had hoped to mark the end of his career by lifting the trophy in a tournament he helped create, the Swiss legend was left to congratulate Tiafoe and the rest of the Team World squad. Meanwhile, Lorenzo Sonego beat Alexander Bublik 7-6, 6-2 to win the Moselle ATP Open in Metz earlier today. Sonego had a tough 2022 with 18 wins and 24 defeats. This was a 3rd career trophy for the Italian, and he did not drop a single set along the way.
7-6, 6-2.
And the main news again. President Muhammadu Buhari is on his way back to the country after attending the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Before leaving New York, the president had challenged African leaders to work assiduously to rid the continent of corruption. While the president was speaking on a sideline event in his capacity as African Union champion on efforts to eradicate corruption. And that's the news at 10. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Good night.